Hello, guys. It's the third man again. Thanks, guys, for taking time to watch. We always appreciate you. Today, I've got another guy who I can say is the nicest guy around for all the cricketers that I've known. Regis Chakabva. How are you, my man?
I'm good, Shari. How are you?
I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
Yeah, no, as always.
Yeah, I think I have to start from that. You are a very nice guy. I think I all the cricketers that we've played with, they always say the same thing. Why are you a nice person?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm definitely not the nicest guy going around, but I think, credit to my parents. I suppose to a big extent, I grew up with a lot of discipline around the house, and so that sort of helped me to sort of stay grounded and have the bigger picture of things always in mind. And obviously, being a believer as well, and being a Christian, just those Christian values and ethics have always been a part of my character or being, so to speak. And so, yeah, just trying to be the best I can, do unto others as I would like others to do to me. So yeah, like I said, always learning, never perfect, and yeah, such is life.
You've that also been the way you've played the game for all the years that you've been involved with cricket.
I mean, definitely, there's a lot of things that that have gone into how I played the game, and I'm not sure which part of being nice really applies to that, but um, I think along the way, a lot of things that you picked up as a youngster, and also just learning from other guys that were there, and sort of showed you the way and led you the way in terms of working hard and putting in maximum effort, and all those things certainly helped out.
Right. So in the East, Zimbabwe started playing cricket in 1992. That's the year I was born. And amongst black cricketers, only four have scored test hundreds. That is Hamilton Masakadza, Tatenda Taibu, Tino Maoyo, and Regis Chakabva. You are the fantastic four. How does that make you feel, and what does it mean to you as a player?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know it was only that many, or that few, if I can put it like that. I think uh, it's obviously a nice thought, if I can put it like that, and certainly wish I had a few more hundreds to my name than just the one. But you take it, I suppose.
It came in Bangladesh. It's not one of the easiest places to bet. You must have been feeling good from that day. What do you remember about that inning when you scored the 100 against Bangladesh?
Well, I'm not sure about feeling good. Actually, what I remember was I was obviously under a bit of pressure because I had uh, I had struggled the previous game. I got out almost in the exact same way um in the test before, and so there was that little bit of pressure on, and in the end, I just thought, you know what, if anything was to happen, it was going to happen anyway. So I just tried to play as positively as I could, despite the pressure. I just tried to free myself as much as I could, and yeah, things just clicked, I suppose, and just went my way. I remember, I think I must have been dropped at some point early on in the innings as well. Either I was dropped or a stamping was missed, one of the two. And so you kind of take those things when they come, and so yeah, it was a pretty nice day in the end. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I betted for quite a while with Tinashe Panyangara because I think he was last man in when I was probably in my 70s or close to 80. And so it was, it was quite again, it was because it was a really tough wicket to play on. I didn't think that he would last as long as it did. And so I definitely gave him a big hug, after we got out of the pitch, after I eventually went out, I definitely gave him a big hug, I think.
Nice. And then also you're a keeper, and in terms of dismissals for Zimbabwean Test, you're only behind Taibu and Flower. You've got 50 dismissals behind those two great names. It's another area of the game that is so important. How was it like being a test keeper, the requirement? Because that role has sort of changed over the years.
Mm. Yeah, keeping as always, it was one of those things again, that I always loved and looked up to and, looked forward to rather. I think, in particular, keeping in the subcontinent was always one of the toughest places to keep in. And so I always enjoyed that challenge that came with keeping in the subcontinent. And so I remember chatting, at some point with one of the guys just about how, you know, one ball would hit your shoelaces and then the next ball would hit you in the helmet, pretty much pitching in the same spot,
Yeah.
and so that's sort of how difficult it was. And even with the seamers, you never really knew how far to stand because one ball would keep really low and then you're having to sort of duck yourself a little bit and then the next ball just shoots up and then you realize, oh shucks, I'm too close.
Mm.
So yeah, it was always a really challenging ask, but one that I took on, quite gladly, if I can put it like that. And so yeah, I mean, I loved I enjoyed the challenge of keeping, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of playing with Taibu for a few years, and I learned a great deal from him. He's certainly one of the best wicket keepers we've had, probably if not the best wicket keeper in my mind. And I think it was quite a joy to practice a lot with him and to feed off him throughout the years I played with him.
But earlier on, I had a chat with John Nyumbu on this platform, and we are talking about arguably my favorite win from Zimbabwe when Zimbabwe beat Australia at a sports club. Must have been 2014, 31 August on a Sunday. And when Pro Sports hit that six, I think you were next to me, and then people were celebrating. I remember you lifting your wife, if I'm not wrong, to celebrate that moment.
Yeah.
It was a big moment. However, now Zimbabwe beat Australia in 2022, first win on Australian soil against Australia, and you're captaining that team, and you scored the 37 not out. I'm thinking that must be Zimbabwe's best ever ODI win, in my opinion. Talk to me about that one. We can start from you lifting your wife, celebrating Pro Sports moment, to a historic win in 2022 in Townsville.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the first one, that sort of sums it up, isn't it? It meant that much to me and to everyone, watching, sitting in the stands, and obviously throughout the country. It was such a massive win, and you couldn't just hold it in terms of the celebration and the joy. So yeah, that was to that. And obviously to the win here in Australia. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, even now talking about it, it always feels like, it didn't quite happen. And you could tell, even as after the win, you could tell as we shook hands in their eyes that, they really couldn't believe it. It was one of those things where the underdogs really rose up, on the day, and so it was, yeah, such an honor. In particular, being captain as well, on that particular tour, and then getting that win. I mean, it was an amazing effort from everyone, and more special for me to be there, at the end with a not out as well. So yeah, pretty special.
Where do you rate that inning, that 37 not out?
I've always found it difficult to rate, different innings and all that,
Mm.
but I'll definitely say it's up there. I think after my test and one day 100, I would probably put it third. Yeah, it was up there.
Speaking of that 1 day 100, it's one of the moments I've seen a Rec Sports Club buzzing. I think it was full capacity, and we were playing against, I think, our rivals, Bangladesh. We don't like each other, like in cricket ways. And you scored then Zimbabwe's fastest 100 in ODIs. Let's talk about that inning. We can start from the moment because I remember Raza jumping when he scored, like it was his 100. But that meant so much to everyone in the
Yeah,
stadium that day.
yeah. It was definitely a really special day. I would find it difficult to pick between that and the test 100. In terms of which one really was one of my sort of proudest moments, I think. But yeah, it was one of those innings where I was really at that space in my career where I was a lot more confident, and I was confident in my game, and I was um, preparing as well as I could at that point in time. And so, and I was, my mindset was really at that point where I was looking to be as positive as I can. And so it was just a whole combination of things, in terms of mindset and preparation in particular. And so to eventually get to that milestone, I actually didn't realize how quickly I was going. So that's sort of how much in the zone I was. And I've always played with this thing of not looking at the scoreboard because I never really wanted to know what score I'm on, because I never really liked this idea of, get to the 90s or get to the 80s and then start playing to get to your 100. Um, I've always not liked the idea of seeing guys playing for a milestone, so to speak, instead of, just going on to play and do as the team requires. So yeah, I think it was, I couldn't ignore it though, because I think, obviously the crowd was shouting, and so I was like, oh, okay, obviously, I had to look at some point, but I still tried to stay in that same mindset of, don't change your game, don't change your game. And so, yeah, it was pretty special to get there in the end. And, again, um, would have loved to have got a few more.
Yeah, of course.
But one thing's for sure, I always kept pushing, and I always kept trying to do the best I could.
Let's talk of now. Where are you with your career? We have seen you playing in the T10 in Zimbabwe. I'm sure you're also playing in Australia. What's happening cricket-wise at the moment?
At the moment, I'm just playing club cricket over this side, and so that's pretty much it, really. I haven't really ventured into anything else apart from that. So I don't want to say a whole lot else about, what lies ahead
Mm.
at the moment, but um, yeah, there's definitely um, let me just say I'm playing club cricket and I'm staying very active. I'm, trying to stay as fit as I can, deal with, a few of the niggles that have challenged me over the years. So yeah, just trying to be as healthy and as fit as I can be.
What club are you playing for, and what level or grade, if they call it in Australia?
Yeah, so I'm playing for Bomom Cricket Club, and it's in in regional Australia. So it's first grade in terms of the area that I'm in. And so it's a decent level of club cricket. It's almost pretty much just like playing back home. So it's a good standard.
All right. So to conclude now, looking at how when you're talking about those innings, the remarkable performances did, you mentioned something with the mindset preparation. If you are to go back to your younger self, what things would you like say to young Regis now? Let's say 20-year-old Regis in terms of cricket and performing. What message would you say to your younger self?
Um, I think I could have. I would probably say prepare with a lot more purpose, um, and uh, take your chances. Be aggressive. Um, I think a big part of my early career, um, because I was always up and out, or up and down inside in the team, or in and out. I never really got those consistent performances going. And from a mindset point of view, sometimes those things can affect you a little bit. Sorry. And so I had moments of brilliance, and then when things didn't really go as nicely. I also had a few slumps, and so I was never at for a big part of my early career. I never felt like I was set, even though I was showing promise. I felt, and so yeah, I would probably just say practice twice as hard. I think I probably started to really put in a lot more work into than that I should have done at the very beginning. But sometimes you learn with experience as you go, and I really started to enjoy, in particular, watching BT and how much he worked. And he's one of those guys that I really learned from, in terms of if you haven't got there, you need to work twice as hard, as you go to stay at a certain level. And even just watching all the different guys, you talk of Kane Williamson, you talk of, all the top guys that everyone works ridiculously hard. And so yeah, work hard, work extra hard, work 3 times as hard as you think you need to. And so that would be something that I would tell, all the young boys out there.
Yeah. No, Regis, thank you a lot. I appreciate you taking time to chat to this Shawi boy. Thanks for that. And I hope whoever watches gets inspired as well. And we believe more hundreds will come as well from our black brothers in Zimbabwe, and all good things to do with Zimbabwe cricket.
Yeah, now there's a good number of boys coming up, and so it's been really good to see. I try to follow every game, watch as much as I can, and it's really good to see the number of boys that are coming up, and the performances that have been coming through. And yeah, I mean, the boys are making us real proud, and so
Yeah,
yeah, it's really good to see.
nice one.